Hi everyone, welcome to Talk Tech Tips. My name is Rishi and this is the Nothing Phone 3a. Alright, so first off, we have the unboxing. They have a very simple design going on with a tiny box that you get, which is just as big as the phone is. It has a little embossed design, which is really cool, I thought. And it shows off the camera and the coil around the camera and all those design elements that they have. And as soon as you open the box, you have Welcome to Nothing written on the left side, which is a beautiful touch in my honest opinion, which makes you feel like you're invited to the family. It's a cardboard box with just the charging cable and some manuals inside. You do not get a charger, but hey, that's the industry trend right now. When you flip the phone around to the back, you'll notice a lot of quirky design elements that is standard across all Nothing phones. You know, if you've seen the old Nothing Phone 1 and all other phones in the series, you'll find like the bus wires going through and the plastic pieces which really add to the transparent design that Nothing Tech has always aimed to get. Coming to the top half of the phone itself, you'll find the glyph interface, which has 3 different strips, which have their own individual lighting as well. It's been used for a few features as well in the glyph interface that I'll get back to later. You'll find a little silver patch over here. It adds a little bit of a contrast to the rest of the phone's design, and it stands out around the microphone that is right there. The camera element is pretty good and firm. It's able to support your finger as you're holding your phone. And the metal bumper around the camera, it also gives you a sense of security that the lens itself is not going to get scratched in case you keep your phone on a table with a rough surface or anything like that. The camera element itself is plastic, but it's premium enough to feel like it's glass. Also, Nothing should probably really try and make a red phone since they've done the blue so well on this. And you know, to commemorate RCB's win, Isala Cup Nandu. Moving on to the sides of the phone, you'll come across this plastic frame which is really premium feeling and it's comfortable to hold, you know. And they did a good job with the black color buttons on this blue frame. And on the left side, you find the volume buttons, and on the right side is the power button when you're holding the display facing you. This is classic Nothing design language. However, there's a new key. It's the first time Nothing has introduced this, and it's the essential key. Moving on, we go to the display, where you can see that there's even and symmetrical bezels all around. It has a 6.7-inch 1080p AMOLED display with 10-bit color depth. This makes it an absolutely vibrant display to work with. Whether you're watching videos or playing games, it's a really fun experience altogether. And trust me, you won't have an issue outdoors because it reaches a peak of 3000 nits and has support for HDR10+. It's a dynamically refreshing display. That means it can step up from 60 Hz all the way to 120 Hz. Specifically for always on display, it goes all the way down to 30 Hz and improves battery saving. Though battery saving is not really something that they have to worry about because Nothing OS is light, and that's what I'll be touching upon in the next topic. The phone comes preloaded with Nothing OS 3.1, and the company promises 3 years of major Android upgrades and up to 6 years of security patches that are given bi-monthly. And this has been a staple for Nothing OS ever since the phone 1. Nothing OS has always been known for being bloat-free, and it's like one of the operating systems which really lets you customize your device as per your liking. And this continues with the Phone 3a series as well. There's a clean user interface and it gives a very clean user experience. The setting page itself is pretty well grouped. It has different segments. The Essential space, however, is a new feature that was introduced in this device particularly. It has a non-remappable key associated with it, which I think is pretty fine because once you get used to using the Essential space, you realize that it is a very nifty feature. You have the basic features as well, such as App Cloner, App Locker, RAM Booster. There's a glyph interface, there's a lock screen widgets, there's all these standard suite of Nothing OS features, which makes it a really nice device to purchase just for the operating system. This is really good because the phone and the brand itself is very new, and for a 3-year-old company to have caught up with the industry and made sure to prioritize these kind of features and actually maintain them, kudos to Nothing. Now let's move on to 2 exclusive features which are there on Nothing devices only right now. Starting off, we have the glyph interface. The glyph interface itself has a standard suite of features such as brightness slider and the ringtones, and you can set custom ringtones for people. There's also notifications and essential notifications, as we've seen in previous Nothing phones, where this particular glyph will stay lit until you check the notification. This is pretty standard. This is what they were aiming for with the initial introduction to glyph interface, where they wanted to make the device more of a productivity tool, and reduce the distractions. Then we move on to the features of the glyph interface itself, and we have flip to glyph, where the phone goes into silent mode when you flip it around on a table or any other surface, for instance. We have the glyph timer, which gives a visual countdown of how many more seconds or minutes you set it to. And we have the composer, which is a little fun gimmick, I would say, where you just play around, you make some beats and it syncs with the lights. Although I would recommend going to the Discord community and checking out custom glyph tones there, which is fantastic. Then we have a separate segment for visual feedback with volume indicator, which basically ensures that you'll be able to figure out what volume level your phone is at any given time without actually seeing the display. This is kind of handy if you're in like a movie theater and you don't want to turn on the screen and you just want to make sure your phone is quiet. There's glyph progress, which is not very well integrated as of now, but it works with Uber and Zomato here in India. And I'm pretty sure they're going to bring a few more companies. Never mind, the glyph interface is dead. Then we have music visualization, which is another gimmick because it doesn't really sync well with music, and I know they have an in-house DJ, and I hope that they can improve this in upcoming updates. Finally, we have bedtime schedule, which I think is a great feature in case you don't want to be blinded by the glyph lights if you're in a very dark room in the night. And the second exclusive feature in the Nothing ecosystem as of now is the Essential Space. A single tab will take a screenshot, or rather, it'll take a picture to be stored in the Essential Space, which you can save by tapping again. And a double tap, as I just did, will open up the Essential Space. And if you want to, you could tap and hold the Essential Space key and speak to it. Remind me in 5 minutes to leave the studio. And that gets saved as a voice memo in Essential Space. This gets summarized by AI, which is able to give you quick notes and set reminders. It's like a little assistant of its own in the Essential Space. All of this is exclusive to Nothing's 3 A series devices and the CMF Phone 2 Pro only because it has a key and, well, supposedly some behind the hood changes for the AI processing. Initially, this felt like a bit of a glorified screenshot app, but there was this one moment where I saved a screenshot in my Essential Space of a conversation with a friend, and all I said was leaving, and it was able to decide that user is leaving at so and so time based on that one text in the entire chat. This blew me away, and I was like, okay, they're not summarizing it like a small screen reader with like text to speech. There's actual processing going on behind the scenes. And it can prove to be really useful at times if you know how to use it. Ever since then, I've been messing around with the Essential Space, and I've gotten used to it to the point where it's going to be a little difficult to go back to something or a device that doesn't have the Essential Space. The Essential Key can also be used in the camera app, where it'll take a picture of what the phone is looking at and summarize the same. This is more like Google Lens. It's also stored in a place it's safe and it's on board, and you can always access it again. You can also add it to collections, as you can see here, and it's a very well-rounded feature. It's definitely worth having a map button for this. Though, if Nothing OS allows customization everywhere else, I feel like they should let us remap this button as well. You may be wondering, with all of these like exclusive features and the hype I've been creating about Nothing all along, how does the performance hold up? How does it hold up in real life usage? It has a 7S Gen 3, and I know as a fact that some of the community members were a little disappointed that it's a 7S Gen 3. They wanted something a bit more high-end. But you have to realize that there's a lot of under the hood changes that have been made, and Nothing OS 3.1 is so versatile that it works really well. This is paired with LPDDR4X RAM, which is like in 8GB and 12GB configurations, depending on what you get. and it has UFS 2.2, which has also been spoken about in positive and negative light, but the phone does a pretty darn good job. I think the most notable places where performance plays a role is gaming, for instance, and I'm not a heavy gamer, but I do play some Brawl Stars, and as you can see here, the visuals are great, it works fine, and there's also game mode, which has the game booster. It allows you to change notification types, priorities, etc., and it makes the overall gaming experience pretty good. The Antutu score itself is around 700,000 from my testing, and the official specs given by Nothing say it's supposed to be around 800,000. So I would say, honestly, for your day-to-day tasks, this is plenty enough, and you do not have to expect more from a device unless you're paying a higher price. With the performance covered and the Nothing OS features and all of that, you may be wondering how the battery life is and how the phone actually sustains in real life. Well, this device has a whopping 5,000 mAh battery, which is not the biggest in the market right now. I know there's the OnePlus 13s, which has come out with the 5,800 mAh battery, but it does a pretty darn good job at being reliable and being there for you throughout the day. For me, in my first testing, when I charged it all the way to 100% and then discharged it to 1%, I got a whopping 9 hours 20 minutes from it. And this was with gaming, with some maps and with some communication apps open. The device is very reliable and it's consistently performing in battery life. That paired along with 50 watts of wired charging, given that there's no wireless charging, it's fine. I mean, at this price range, you'd rather just plug in the phone, it's fine. And it's 50 watts, I mean, it'll charge up pretty quick. This is more of the old motors, such as a day's power in half an hour, OnePlus. And I think it does a pretty good job. You also have 7.5 watts of reverse wired charging in case you want to help your friends out and stuff, which is actually going to be a practical use case for this device because it has a big battery. So I think in the battery department, they've nailed it for this device. Moving on to the camera system, we have the primary 50 megapixel camera, which is a wide angle lens. We have the 8 megapixel ultra wide, which is okay. And we have the 50 megapixel 2x telephoto, which is a fixed lens. This means that you can only take 2x shots, or you can zoom in further and you can get optical quality up to 5x, after which there'll be more of a digital loss because it crops in even further. This is facilitated by the fact that it is a 50 megapixel sensor and you can crop into the center where there's still 12 megapixel of optical quality. The camera does a pretty good job at both videography and photography. It has OIS, so your nighttime photos are not blurry and they have a good amount of quality to it, whereas the telephoto lens, while it has only EIS, handles it pretty decently. Ultra wide, however, is used mainly for just the wide angle shots. You're not looking for details, you're looking for grabbing the essence of the area, essence of the place, or essence of whatever you're capturing. And that should be the point of an ultra wide camera. In video mode, the main and the telephoto lens have varying modes of capture. There's 1080p 30, there's 1080p 60, and there's 4K 30 recording capability. These sensors have a very good full well capacity, which is more of a technical term, but all in all, it captures a lot of light, and this gives it a lot of information to process and work with. This full well capacity gives it the ability to take multiple pictures in one go or one click and compose it into one shot where you're able to have multiple bright spots or like dark spots evened out. So the lighting in the picture looks very nice and natural.
Another feature that's exclusive to Phone 3a and the 3a Pro, and on the same as Phone 2 Pro as well, are camera presets. Camera presets are basically like settings and panels that you can get, which give a particular type of shot that you can click. And these make it really simple for you because you don't have to change the settings or anything, and you get a vibe. And this is lenticular.
And this is the front camera, which is a 32 megapixel camera, which can record at 1080p 30 or 1080p 60, and it's perfectly fine. It gets the job done, and you can be the judge of the audio quality as well. Moving on to the audio and connectivity, it has stereo speakers that do a sufficient job. It's nothing mind-blowing. But there's no headphone jack with the usual, so that's a little disappointing. Though I get it, there's an IP64 water resistance rating, so they want to cover up against rain and stuff like that. Another thing I really want to mention is that this device has great haptics. The X-axis linear motor is really good for this price range, and it's so much better than those eccentric rotating motors that you've seen in other, well, budget-friendly phones. As I mentioned in my tweet, this phone is much like Neptune, the densest planet in our solar system. It is so densely packed with features that at this price range, that's starting at 21,900, you really don't expect a phone to be this good, this well built, and then having nothing OS, the X-axis haptics, the beautiful vibrant display that it has. It is such a good package. All in all, I would recommend this to anyone who wants to get into a bit of that transparent tech and enjoy the Nothing ecosystem and the experience for a bit. Thank you.